Hey everyone, welcome to another Bruce Sentar AMA where I talk about lit RPG, harem lit, and, well, anything related to writing because that's what I love to do.
All right, so we are back with number 5, the 5th video in the series of video AMAs this time. And as always, we are going to start with our Patreon questions. One of the benefits of being a patron is that your questions always come first in these videos.
Yes,
And
and
your
Chris has
name...
absolutely never messed that up and fixed it in editing.
Never, never, ever. And your names also come up at the end if I can make my computer not explode because there's so many of you. So up first, we're going to start with Jacob, who asks, what is the inspiration behind the thread spawn? I personally get Goa'uld vibes, which I believe is from Stargate, if I'm not mistaken.
There you go, the Stargate. I was a big Stargate. So thread spawn, Goa'uld, definitely some feeling there. And then, what was the Animorph? I can't even remember what they're called, but were they the Zerg?
No, I think Zerg is StarCraft.
No, I know Zerg is StarCraft, but for some reason I think it was the Animorph, the Zergs. Anyways, they were also brainworms that took over. Between those two, definitely some vibes. But I think brain controlling parasites are just a wonderful sci-fi adventure.
All right, next up is from Fifth God, who asks, will those who missed out on the Dragon's Justice Collector's Editions ever get a chance to buy them?
So there will be a third round in which I hope the extras I have from round 1 and 2 will all leave my basement. Should they not? Maybe. I would like to not have a ton of books sitting in my basement. But if it's just a few, I might honestly just let them go and let it be the thing. Or I could maybe offer them as a bonus in a future Kickstarters to, not have books in my basement. But I am not reprinting any of these ever. When you get to print orders for some of these things, they are quite large minimum orders. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to, outside of the Kickstarter ecosystem, be able to do another reorder with the hope of getting rid of them and not filling my basement with books.
And just for the record, that is the non-serialized versions. The serialized versions will only ever be available through the Kickstarter.
Yes, the serialized ones are pretty much made to order for the Kickstarters. There's not really extra.
But maybe the regular ones. Maybe.
Yes.
All right, next question is from Johnny Starfrost on Patreon, who asks, I've never really participated in any of these, so apologies if the answer has already been said elsewhere. I don't think it has, so that's why I picked this question. Is there ever going to be a way to buy the original Ardzoth books with the OG covers when they all end up changing? And should we expect the same for all of your other series as well? Thank you.
Oh, that's a very good question. I can definitely make a way. There are other ways to put books up in Amazon, and you can technically put up 2 print books. From what I'm getting feedback-wise, people who are buying print books are actually fairly interested in the discrete, which is why it's currently the default. And for future series, most likely Ardzoth, and then I will do some testing on Dungeon Diving sometime next year. As I continue to just do a little bit of a brand switch, as I've mentioned before, as I've gotten more popular and I've spread out beyond the people who are in the know of what harem is. My covers aren't sending the right message to that crowd as I continue to encroach upon them. So just working on that.
All right. Up next is from TJ Steele 73, who asked, are there any loose strings or plot holes you weren't able to wrap up in any of your finished series that you wish you had tied up? And then he added a little qualifying comment underneath that says, I know that you're a pantser, but looking back, are there details or missing plot points in these stories that you wish you had added earlier in the books or series?
You know, I wish I made Siam Best Boy a little earlier in Ardzoth. I know it's not finished yet, but I do think that'll be a slight change when it comes to the webcomic. As for plot points, again, I'm a pantser, and I've kind of just come to terms with there are things that occur to me later that either tell me this was a really bad idea, this was a really good idea, or, you know, I missed the boat on something. And I've just kind of come to terms with that. There's not a huge amount of regret that lingers with me on the finished series.
The next one is from Malsacadro. Sorry if I said that wrong. This one relates to Returner's Defiance, and it may be a spoiler, so if so, I can wait. Wondering if Bran's former love interest Riley is going to play a larger role since she recently got name dropped, and if we're going to meet any other former love interests. As a personal request, Thorin and Elle are hilariously awesome, so I'd love to see a bit more of them if it fits in. Speaking of which, is she ever going to fix Bran's disastrous sword style as she keeps threatening to?
Thorin and Elle are hard to work into the story with sort of the high urgency of the whole demon war about to spawn off. So there's a Bran hasn't quite found too much time to spend with them. When it comes to the former loves, I paused and I thought very heavily on whether I was going to be clear and set Riley up as a love interest, and I think I am not going to set her up as a love interest. Instead, she was a point for Bran to make the distinction that in the current life, his former lovers aren't who they used to be. It would be like almost like loving a twin and putting that love onto the other person, and that was the decision that Bran came to, and that he wasn't going to pursue them. Now, if there's another one that is maybe more static than Riley, then maybe we could see about that.
And last Patreon question is from Silent, who asks, have you ever considered writing a mono romance series like the Made for You series?
I have not read Made for You, so I can't quite say like that. Monoromance is something I have thought very heavily about. Again, like I said, I'm reaching outside of Haremlit very clearly based on my metrics. And so maybe I can make something to reach the people who might be wary of harem. And if I'm honest, at almost 6 years now of writing in a genre, there is an itch to do something just a little different.
And moving on to our Discord question now, and of course there will be a link below, just like the Patreon, to join the Discord community. First question is from Trips, who asks, do you ever plan on creating a new series that continues the Tao Divinity or Mage's Cultivation universe?
Not at present. There was, I've mentioned this in the past, there was a post-apocalypse that was going to be a closer continuation of the Legendary Rule series, showing how we get the Legendary Rule world turned into the monocultivation world. However, for a variety of reasons, I have not continued on that, and it's, again, one of those things where the longer I stay away from those universes, the more worried I am about going back and being canon. And that fear is probably going to just make it less likely right now.
All right, up next is from Bati M Hero 344, who asks, have you ever thought of adding an animal, real or fictional companion that will always follow the main character, not unlike Ard's summoned horse? Sorry if that's a spoiler for anyone who hasn't read it yet.
I was gonna say, Siam is your animal companion. If you need one, congratulations, your mage horse is the best animal companion you could ever want. I don't know how I could do it better. Dar almost had a wolf, but that didn't happen.
There's Bun Bun.
Bun Bun, but Bun Bun's Charlotte's. Bun Bun is not Ken's. I don't know. I probably should do an animal companion because everyone loves animal companions. But there's usually enough characters that I'm juggling that I am cautious to add more important ones. That is why, unfortunately, love interests tend to take up the bulk of the sidecast. You can open the door and just let her come in.
She's very, very upset.
You want to come up right next to me and breathe in my microphone? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Oh, yes. What is it? What is this? That's not. Thank you. Speaking of animal companions, mine just gave a brief interruption. We're back.
All right. So our next question is from Awesome Sauce, our lovely Discord mod, one of them, I should say, who asked, question for both Bruce and Chris. What is your favorite pizza topping?
You first. Go right ahead.
I was actually thinking about this like the whole drive over here after I got these questions.
Because you get these questions before I do. I'm out on the spot.
Yeah. I had time to think about it. And I think that I would like to answer in two parts.
Oh.
I have a favorite meat topping and a favorite vegetable topping.
They are quite distinct.
Yes. So if I'm going to get a medium 2-topping pizza, I'm going to get Italian sausage and green peppers.
That's not bad.
Those are probably my two answers.
Yeah. Oh, and when you phrase it like that, like what singular topping pizza would I get? I'm like almost always going to go pepperoni.
Yeah, I feel like pepperoni is like the goat.
The quintessential. But like the topping I would add to almost every pizza, bacon. But realistically, when it comes to pizzas, I usually get the pizza or like the meat lovers set that they have, and then I add onions and green peppers.
See, green peppers.
Mm-hmm.
I really think people sleep on green pepper on pizza. It's truly a great experience.
Sometimes jalapeno too, but I have to only get it on half the pizza because
wife's not into that.
Not into that.
Up next is from Snot, who asks, I was mainly wondering what your revision process is like. As a hobby writer, just now revising my first finished novel, the revision process is almost more daunting than actually writing it was. I was wondering if you have a specific number of passes that you do, focusing on specific aspects, and at what point do you just send it off to alpha and beta readers and finally line editors and others?
I have these wonderful things called deadlines that force me to kick it out. And Patreon and like the daily chapter deadline is actually really good for me in that way. Usually, so there's the dictation, there's a cleanup pass, just to like make sure the dictation is cleaned and it is what I said. And then there's a pass to go through where I add a number of things. And then usually my wife also does a pass that is just posing questions. Sorry, my dog is whining in the background. She's very upset. Apparently talking about animal companions was not great. Yeah, and so dictation cleaning, then there's like my additive editing, and then there's just clarification, making sure it all flows and looks neat. I spend a lot of time editing. Yeah, that's how I do it. You can do it your own way. If it's daunting, like, give yourself time. I know for myself, when the entire book is done and someone's like, oh, you need to go back and like edit this main plot point, that is extraordinarily daunting. But doing it chapter by chapter and just like making a daily goal for myself is how I get it done.
All right, and our last question is one that I thought was interesting. It's from Tiny Nustra, who is the one who keeps sending us those really big, long lists. Yeah. I went back and found one of their old ones because I thought that this was an interesting question. Which love interest would you say is the overall strongest in all of your series? I'm assuming they mean like power level.
Oh, power level. Okay, sorry.
Or maybe they mean...
There was a recent post on Facebook where people were like, "You're not allowed to have favorites author," and I was like, I don't know. I kind of do sometimes, and then also sometimes it's just very clear who the fan favorite is, and then I'm like, well, if the fans loving this one, she's gonna be front and center, and then she becomes my favorite too, because ultimately your favorite is whoever gets the most page time a lot of times. I don't think any of the Saving Supervillain ones were like super uber powerful. Dar had some powerful ones. Monocultivation, I think scale-wise, isn't going to stack up to some of the others. Ikta from Dragon's Justice was pretty darn powerful. So was Summer. The Fae Queens were disastrously powerful. Yeah. I'm thinking hard. I think it's going to be the Fae Queens from Dragon's Justice.
And just for giggles, let's pretend the question is about strongest, as in like the strongest written character. Which one do you think then?
I really like Morgana's whole character arc and then ongoing thing. Morgana is, I think, probably one of my favorite as a creator. The one, like, I look at that as like, yes, I'm very proud of Morgana.
Well, that is all our questions for this time. Like I said before, there will be a link in the description of this video for both the Patreon and the Discord community, so you can join both or either. And we will see you guys on the next one.
Yep, and also we have TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and everything.
I'll put the link tree in the description.
Yes, link tree.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good one.